Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into game number 2 now between LucifroN and FRAER. Now, if the end of game 1 is anything to go by, they really should be renaming the Automaton 2000 the LucifroN 2000, because that final engagement, the micro and the decision making out of there from LucifroN was absolutely sublime. Exemplary play coming out of our Spanish Terran. Let's see if FRAER, though, the Ukrainian Protoss, can take it back in game number 2. Don't forget, guys, this is a best of 5, not a best of 3. Here we go. The map is Cloud Kingdom. This is game number 2. This is the finals of the Vasacast Invitational. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the map that is Cloud Kingdom, representing roxkis from the Ukraine, it is FRAER. His opponent spawning in the top right-hand corner as the orange Terran player. Beautiful late-game army control and excellent understanding of the engagement there at the end of that game meant that he turned a supply advantage into it didn't even matter if his opponent was maxed out. It was that good. Let's see if he can keep the momentum going into game number 2. Representing Caranta Esports from Spain, we have LucifroN. This guy seriously needs nerfing. That's all I'm going to say. So we've got the gas coming up first from LucifroN. Note that no barracks is down. So we have a little bit of mixing up. This is what I was talking about, the kind of thing that people go in a best of 5. They say, right, there's a particular strategy I think I'd like to try against this player, but I want to wait for the correct map to do it on. And LucifroN might have this specifically planned for Cloud Kingdom. A gas first going into a barrack, so he will be able to get an add-on that very, very quickly indeed. Let's see what he ends up doing with it. A gateway inside the main base from FRAER here. Over here in the bottom left, he's also taking his first gas. We should be seeing a cybernetics core immediately after this gateway pops down, and then we'll get an idea of where he wants to go from there. No scouts out yet from either player. In the meantime, if you guys have been watching the stream today and you have been enjoying, please do pop me a tweet. I am at JoRoSaR. Feel free to give me a tweet or a follow if you're feeling particularly nice. But most importantly, check out at Vasacast, because this guy is unbelievably amazing. He casts with the passion of 1,000 megaphones turned up to 11. And I don't actually know how that's even possible, but he does it. And he organized this absolutely wonderful tournament, the first international tournament they've ever organized out of Italy. Thank you so much, Vasacast. So it looks like that gas first is going to be so that the early factory can get put down. For those of you who haven't seen this before, if you go for the gas before the barracks, by the time the barracks completes, you will have 100 gas, which means as soon as the barracks complete, you can immediately go into the factory, which is what LucifroN is going for here. So we have reactor on the barracks, and we also have the factory coming down here. Let's see if the buildings are going to swap over, and we're going to see some fast Hellions. We saw Hellion play in game number 1, and it looks like we're going to be seeing the same thing here in game number 2. The starport is also getting proxied here in the bottom right-hand corner, so it looks like we're going to have Marine Hellion drop play come out of LucifroN here in game number 3. The Hellions are being produced now, and there is the initial Zealot scout. If there were some Marines maybe here to ward him off, he might not get too much scouting information off. But coming up here, he'll go, wait, there are 3 supply depots here. I don't actually know what's going on behind this. I should really watch out and take a look at what's going on. And it looks like the Zealot's going to try and micro against these Hellions. But, oh, and he manages to get into the main base as well. So he will be able to get a bit of a scout off. But all he's going to see is a barracks and a factory. The proxied starport has not been scouted by FRAER. And we have got the medevac now incoming from LucifroN. More Hellions on the way as well. It looks like the barracks isn't producing a single Marine. Only 4 Hellions out on the field right now, with 5 and 6 in production. This is just going to be a pure Hellion drop into the main base by the looks of things. No probes whatsoever at the natural just yet. Going to start making a couple now. We have 3 Hellions. Here comes the 4th one. Who said you need Hellions? Who said you need Hellbats, rather, to have a good time? So 3 Hellions up there, and there's a 4th outside the natural, which he's going to go in and harass this and distract FRAER while the 3 go into his main base. And there we go. LucifroN probably going to try and get up the ramp, force the sentry to go for a force field, but no, here we go. 3 Hellions inside the main mineral line. Nice. Is he going to be able to pick up those 2? Yes, he manages to pick them up as well. Very nice. Oh, but dropping them again, unfortunately, into the path of the probes, and the probes able to get a decent amount of damage on the Hellion on the low ground, coming back to see if he can get a second helping. The probes are lining up. How many workers have been killed so far? 12 at the moment, so LucifroN doing a decent job. But a good force field and some micro from the Stalkers mean that he won't be able to get more damage than this done this time around. There is one more Hellion here. Is he going to get one more kill? No, not quite. Number of workers at the moment, 18 to 23 in favor of LucifroN, so definitely an edge there to our Terran player. But don't forget, there are 2 bases out for FRAER, and only the one at the moment from LucifroN. The second command center is being finished up now, and he will be able to make that an orbital command. But for now, he enjoys a healthy income advantage. Out of this, he's going for 3 barracks, so barracks number 2 and 3. He's not about to build that starport, of course, because this one is actually lifting up and trying to pop back very quickly. FRAER actually scouting for the proxy starport. He suspects that this is the kind of play that has occurred here, and he will just about not spot it as LucifroN is going to be floating it back into his main. Will he see it from the watchtower, though? And no, he doesn't as well. So the starport count itself lucky at this point, as we have more and more units popping out. We also have siege mode about to complete here. That's going to be helpful in defending. The bunker is up on the high ground. Looks like an SCV is going to get taken out here on the low ground, but this bunker will very quickly say absolutely no way to these Stalkers, and it looks like a siege tank is going to drive them away as well, as the natural command center of LucifroN gets put down. FRAER currently ahead 43 to 40 supply, and he's actually back up ahead in workers as well, 33 to 26. So LucifroN's opener was quite effective in the beginning, but because FRAER expanded that much earlier, he was able on this occasion to just get a little bit more economic advantage out once the attack was over. And here we go, the starport, having flown across half the map, is finally back at home. We have 2 tech labs and a single reactor on these 3 barracks, so we should be seeing combat shields probably pop out of this soon. Stim has already started for LucifroN. We also have the engineering bay down, so that's likely going to be first for a +1 attack. But he currently needs a little bit more gas to pull that off, which is why this 3rd gas was taken at the natural expansion. He can't quite upgrade all the things he wants to right now. There goes the +1 infantry weapons, and no doubt the next one will be combat shield. Alright, so the robotics facility is out now in the natural expansion of FRAER, and he's got an observer popping out. He's going to be able to do a little bit of scouting. We also have a sneaky probe popping up here to see if we can't get some forward pylons down for a potential attack later on. Stalker's out in the middle of the map. He hasn't got either watchtower yet, and LucifroN does with this marine, but that's going to be very short-lived indeed. Just a marine and nothing else is not going to help too much at all. Just having a quick check, sees that in fact the Stalkers are there, and decides to head back to defend at his natural expansion. LucifroN currently at 69 supply versus the 67 of FRAER. And yes, there we go. Combat shields has now been started a little bit later from LucifroN, but no worries. He is busy on that tank production as well. And don't forget, we now have a reactor on this starport, so when he gets enough gas to do so, he'll be able to go up to double medevac. I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't gone for this 4th gas, though, because he seems like he's been trying to upgrade a lot of stuff, and he has that reacted starport, so maybe a bit more gas would have been useful. We'll wait and see. We have got blink on these Stalkers, though, and the observer means that he can blink up onto the high ground and pick apart these 2 tanks. That's excellent play. He's going to be able to march straight into the mineral line as well and try and pick out a bunch of SCVs before blinking out. 1 SCV goes down. Oh, a second one almost going down on the gas there. Managing to pick off a marine in 1 shot, but the rest of the army is now here. He's going to be moving down once again into the natural. Excellent play here from FRAER, picking off a couple more siege tanks as well. And now the Stalkers can get out. That's a really nice hit and run attack. A couple of workers killed, but 3 siege tanks go down as well. Great play from him there. And behind this, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dark Shrine. That's right. So we've got DT play coming out from FRAER here. Let's see if he can use this to get back into this series. So far, his micro has been pretty good, and his decision-making going up to the high ground has been pretty good as well. Needs to be careful that LucifroN doesn't allow him to blink back up into the main base. There is a second army up here that he's going to try and bait around with, and a war prism going into the mineral line now as well. Has FRAER seen it? I think he might have done, because a dropship is going into the main base right now, and the war prism does actually turn around and head home. So FRAER currently at 83 supply, LucifroN at 102. The worker supply is now back in LucifroN's favor because FRAER has been so focused on getting a huge army together. We have a DT coming with this army now into the natural expansion. LucifroN's army is split right now because he needs to do his best to try and cover both locations at once. And we see a scan taking apart the DT, but he won't be able to pick off the observer, which is going to be so crucial. Okay, a second scan does pick that observer off. There's a second one inside the main base, though, that he hasn't been able to pick off quite just yet. We have a War Prism with a couple of units, 2 DTs going into the mineral line. The turrets are now going up, but not necessarily fast enough. And the DTs are actually going to be... Oh, wow, they're actually being loaded up into the War Prism because he saw the army coming and doesn't want them killed to a scan. Really nice play there. Now LucifroN's going to race back into his natural, but maybe FRAER is able to blink up into the main base. Let's wait and see. Yes, he does indeed. Trying to pick up a medevac, unable to do so just yet, but he's managing to engage the army a small chunk at a time, and really frustrating the heck out of LucifroN right now. LucifroN, though, does still have a supply lead. He's currently at 116 supply versus the 94 of FRAER, and he's now getting concussive shells with the infantry armor finishing off as well. So concussive will, of course, be really frustrating for those Stalkers trying to run away, but they will, of course, still have the blink. FRAER trying to expand off of this. Maybe I would have liked to see this slightly earlier from him, but I like this on the grounds that he's keeping LucifroN in his base. LucifroN comes out this way, FRAER can blink up over here, which I think is a great move. And we have missile turrets going around as well to try and stop observers from popping in. Another little bit of a hack from FRAER before he decides to move back out. And he's going to have to blink this Stalker backwards, potentially killing off a couple of units. But yeah, he's going to have to retreat now. The army from LucifroN is just getting a little bit too large and a little bit too difficult to deal with. 1 hit point on this Stalker, and it looks like he's going to go for some blink micro, but he really cannot defeat this army right now. He just needs to go home. LucifroN has a 35, now 40 supply lead, and FRAER needs to be careful he doesn't overextend. Back home, though, he has the Templar Archives complete, and he is chrono boosting that Psionic Storm, which is going to be very useful. Zealot Charge also about to complete. And, oh no, a sentry with a lot of energy out in the middle of the map as his last action manages to force field off the army so that FRAER has a little bit of time should he want to defend here at the natural, but LucifroN looking very beastly at the moment. He's actually currently supply blocked at 142. 3 supply depots starting, and here goes the start of the engagement. The Zealots with charge, able to come in at the front. The medevac's really not much energy, so if there are additional stims on this army, there's really not too much he can do as far as healing it goes. And there is another stim. A High Templar is going to get picked off now as well, and there are only Stalkers left to defend. Is LucifroN going to be able to win game number 2 here as well? Immediately picking off the Observer, and the Nexus at the natural is going down. He's at 128 versus 80 supply, but this entire army is on such low health. It might not matter, though, if he kills all of these probes. The worker supply is plummeting for FRAER right now, and there really isn't too much he can do. I think LucifroN might actually have this game. He needs to be careful not to accidentally overstim, but the number of units he has is proving to be too much. Constant scans to make sure DTs can't possibly do much aggression. Picking off the units as they warp in, and FRAER is down to 50 supply. LucifroN, he's going to be on match point here. GG, and he goes 2-0 up.